Welcome to Local Flavor. I'm Deborah Anderson, and today I'm going to make for you some Indonesian pork roast. And I can never find anyone to make it for me. I think it sounds more intimidating than it is. And if you read the ingredient list, you might think it doesn't sound that good, but it is so awesome. So I hope you'll give it a chance. I'm going to start with 2 pounds of pork loin. So this is just a plain old pork loin roast. And then I'm going to make a sauce to rub on top of it, and it might get a little messy, so bear with me. This is a 1/4 cup of peanut butter. I got the natural peanut butter, so it's a little less sweet, and you do need to stir it a little bit because it can separate. It has to be stored in the fridge. I never met natural peanut butter before, so I do like that it's easier to stir once I get all my ingredients. So there's a 1/4 cup of creamy peanut butter, and then I've got 2 tablespoons of ground coriander seed. I love the smell of these spices. I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, which I also use later, so I had put it over there. Okay, here's my tablespoon. So 3 tablespoons soy sauce. It has a very small hole. Oh, it's wearing me out, all the squeezing of this bottle. Okay, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Then I've got a 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin, another great smelling item. Love to put that in salsa too. Then 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. I'm going to start that to going. I really love this little tool when you have something kind of thick to mash. It really mashes through it. Then I'm going to squeeze a clove of garlic. For those of you who don't use garlic a lot, that's fresh. This is a clove. There's several of them in a head. I met someone once who put a whole head in. They thought that was a clove. So that was, you think there's no such thing as too much garlic, but there is. And lastly, it's a tablespoon of lemon juice. So this is going to make, and if you could smell this, it really packs a punch in terms of aroma. And these spices, I just opened them today, and they were so fresh. When I popped the lid off, it made a popping sound. I went, oh, these are going to be awesome. So that whipped up really easy. And now I'm going to rub it on the roast. And sometimes I use my hands. I'm going to try and stay a little cleaner for you. I'll rub it on with this tiny spatula. I've got my oven heated up to 325, and I'm going to cook this until it reaches about an internal temperature of about 160, so I'll put a meat thermometer in it. That usually takes about an hour and a half, but you should always check your meat thermometer. It does say to massage it in. I actually found this recipe in the 90s, and it became a favorite of my nephew's, so it's hard for me to make this without thinking of Dylan. It was his favorite. I think it was like when you bought some farmland bacon or something, you sent in your proof of purchase and you could get a little recipe book, and it came from a recipe book I found. It was called Prize Winning Pork, and it's called Indonesian Pork Roast. And the exact same recipe is on the Taste of Home website, so that's where I printed it from today. This will bake, and then it has a sauce that you serve it with. Now, so this soaks in. I'm going to let this set and rest before I bake it for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the fridge, and I'll be back when I'm ready to put it in the oven. Okay, we've let this rest to get the stuff attached really well. I'm going to put a meat thermometer in it and go ahead and stick it in my oven, which is preheated to 325. So we let the seasoning sit on for about 30 minutes, and now we're going to cook it about an hour and a half until this gets to 160. Now while this is cooking, we're going to make the sauce that goes on top of it, that you serve it with, because we'll have to cook it on the stove and then it will need a little bit of time to cool. So I'm going to start on it. I need about a cup of soy sauce. Ooh, that's all I have. I wised up and took the lid off this time. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. I need 2 tablespoons of pineapple juice, so I just got a little can here. And I have this tiny measuring cup, 4 tablespoons for liquid. I need another clove of garlic. Does everyone already have their own garlic press? Invaluable. You absolutely need one. And a little bit of fresh ginger root. It does call for minced. I can never get it small enough to actually be used. So I'm going to make it big enough that people can see it and pick it out, because you do not want to bite into ginger root. It gives a great flavor, but if you bite into it, it tastes a little like lemon pledge. So I like to make it big enough that everyone can see it and not eat it. I had a roommate from Macau, and she taught me to use ginger root when I was in college. And I remember making it for my high school friends when I visited them in Lawrence, and they thought it was bamboo shoots, and yeah, that's when we learned it tastes like lemon pledge. But it does give a great flavor, and it's an awesome scent. Love to smell it. So I'm going to put that in so it'll give a lot of flavor, but be big enough that no one will eat it. Now this is going to boil for a few seconds, and then once I get it cooled off, I'm going to add these peanuts to it, but not until it's cool. So let's give this some time to boil, and I'll be back when our roast is ready to take out of the oven. Okay, this is how it looks after it's been cooking. It cooked for almost an hour and 15 minutes, and then I noticed it had gotten to 160. And then you need to let it rest, as with all meats that you bake. So you're going to let it rest. You let it rest at least 15 minutes. And I like to serve it with rice. I'm going to also go ahead and put my peanuts in my sauce. And doesn't that look yummy? It smells really good. And I'm thinking of you, Dylan. Every time I cook it, I tell Dylan, I'm thinking of you and having Indonesian pork roast. Oh, that looks awesome. Oh, there are juices just flowing out of this, so this is going to be great. Now I'm just going to put a tiny bit of sauce on it. I like to serve it over rice, and my favorite is parboiled rice. So that's what I've cooked here. And you just want a little bit of sauce because it's going to have plenty of sodium in it with all that soy sauce. So just enough to season up the rice and the meat. And parboiled rice is great because they pressure steam it while the bran is still on, and so it has about 80% more nutrients than regular white rice. And what I love about it is that it stays so separated, and it's really hard to mess it up. So it's kind of foolproof rice, more nutritious, and not sticky. So if you eat with chopsticks, it's really hard to eat with chopsticks because it doesn't stick together well. But that's why I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try with my parboiled rice. Yes, it's perfect. It turned out great. That's why it's really important for you to watch the temperature, because that's how you're going to make sure that you keep it moist. Also, the other thing is to make sure to let it rest, and that's how it retains all that moisture too. So never skip those steps. Definitely. And don't go by time, because this one went a little bit short. So much flavor in this. I remember I made it for my friend Kelly, and she said it tastes like it was from a restaurant, and I think it's because of all the fresh ingredients in it. So give it a try. The peanut butter is delicious, not scary. I'll see you next time on Local Flavor.